We are Anonymous, the invisible voice in the shadows of the digital world. We expose what others try to hide. We speak the truth where power only whispers lies. And today I bring you a story, a dark and brutal lesson about one of the dumbest Russian attacks in recent times, and how the Ukrainians used every possible trick to turn stupidity into disaster. Listen carefully, because I will not skip a single detail. It all began when Russian forces decided to push through the Brasilia direction. Their target was the area of Vladimirka, sometimes called Vladimirka or Vladimurka in fragmented reports, and also Shahov. What was their plan? To attack from two directions, one from the east and one from the south, striking Vladimirka head-on while cutting off Ukrainian troops and trapping them in a small settlement. On paper, it looked simple. In reality, it was a disaster. From the south, a Russian force, initially composed of motorcycle troops and light infantry, moved toward Vladimirka. They did not hide. They were spotted by Ukrainian drones. And what do you think happened next? They were wiped out. In an instant, those riders moving in formation vanished. There is footage of a ghost rider sitting motionless on his bike. The rest met the same fate. After that failure, the Russian command tried again. They sent infantry fighting vehicles and armored convoys ahead, hoping to create shock and awe. But even that was stopped cold. At the entrance to Vladimirka, Ukrainian infantry were already in position. The Russian armored vehicles were captured or destroyed completely. Now move to the eastern flank. The Russians tried the same tactic. Motorbikes first, armored columns behind. But there was a river and a bridge that had been destroyed long ago. Why would they send troops there? Reports show that Russian commanders were either blind to intelligence or deliberately ignored it. The motorcyclists advanced to the bridge, stopped, and were cut down by Ukrainian drones. The image is chilling: bikes scattered before a broken gap, riders gone. The bridge had been captured, meaning rendered useless earlier, but Russian command either did not know or did not care. Some infantry might have tried to swim or wade through, but motorcycles impossible. The heavy armored vehicles behind them fared no better. When they approached the destroyed bridge, some were hit by fire, others stopped in confusion. A few may have diverted toward Vladimirka, but most were struck by FPV drones from Ukraine's Azov forces. The scene was devastating. Eventually, the Russians realized they could not advance. They turned back what remained of their force. It might have been too late for many, but a few survived. Russia was forced to admit failure in that sector. The bridge crossing was impossible. By that time, part of their force had already turned toward Vladimirka, hoping to salvage something. But those positions were under constant surveillance. Drones, artillery, missiles. Ukrainian forces struck any Russian movement. The losses were heavy. To me, this entire operation was pointless, utterly meaningless command. This was supposed to be a major counterattack, meant to break through the Brasilia direction. But it lacked planning, intelligence, and coordination. Everything was sloppy, improvised, and doomed. What did Russia hope to achieve? Control over Vladimirka, rescue trapped troops, squeeze Ukrainian lines, maybe. But the execution was a total catastrophe. Russia also tried to advance further south, toward Pavka and Alexiva. Small groups landed, expanding what is called the gray zone, an area controlled by neither side. But with the drones overhead and Ukrainian firepower ready, those movements were nothing more than whispers, not breakthroughs. At the same time, Ukraine launched deep strikes into Russian rear areas. The Security Service of Ukraine, the SBU, carried out a spiderweb operation using FPV drones. They struck depots, warehouses, and supply facilities. In a single night, they blew up numerous Russian logistics centers. Reports said at least 10 storage sites were destroyed, along with the vehicles and ammunition. The SBU used FPV-2 drones, stronger versions, to hit deep behind enemy lines. This was not random shelling. It was precise sabotage. Then came a Russian response. At night, they attacked Ukraine's infrastructure, power plants, substations, and grid systems in Kyiv, Zaporizhia, Kharkiv, Odessa, and more. Some sources say hypersonic missiles were used. Kyiv went completely dark. The capital lost all power. Russia claimed it was strategic targeting. Ukraine called it terrorism. Either way, civilians paid the price, and chaos spread. Ukraine struck back. They attacked Russian infrastructure, possibly hitting a site known as Stalingrad Tyaks, though the location remains unclear. Smoke was seen rising. Russia did not deny it clearly. Meanwhile, talks about supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine were ongoing. The possibility was real. Putin declared that Russia would strengthen its air defenses and indirectly admitted that missile transfers could happen. His silence about nuclear warheads spoke volumes. On the U.S. side, Trump expressed interest but made no concrete move. Russia knew the line had been crossed. Back on the battlefield, the Russian forces were weakened. The failures in the Vladimirka operation exposed deeper flaws in command. Their logistics were exposed by Ukrainian drone raids. Their front lines were harassed constantly. Internal morale likely collapsed. And yet the war continues. That is the full, brutal story. Russian commanders acted recklessly. Ukrainian drones and tactics destroyed their momentum. Logistics were shattered. Civilian infrastructure suffered. The balance shifted, not through massive armies, but through intelligence, observation, and courage. We are anonymous. We pull back the curtain. We let you see what others are too afraid to say. The world must know wars are lost, not only by firepower, but by mistakes, negligence, and blind arrogance. Now it is your turn. Share this story. Let it spread. Let people know. Because the more who understand, the harder it becomes to hide the truth.